today, Ms. Noonan?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
So my first question is, how was your time in the Army?
My time in the Army was very excitable. I was in from 2000 to 2003, so during a time of peace for the most part. That was at the time that the towers came down in 2001, so 9/11. And during that time, it wasn't so peaceful because we were kind of always preparing for war. But aside from being in the military and learning to protect our country, you also learn a lot more about life skills. And so it was a great learning experience for me in life in general.
Okay, and for my second question, I want to know, how did the gear fit? Like, was it comfortable? Were you comfortable moving around, you know?
Oh, that's a great question. So it was hot. I served down in El Paso, Texas, so Fort Bliss, Texas, and I worked on the Patriot missile launching system. So those are the big air defense missile systems that shoot down other missiles in the air. And so we had to always wear full gear while we were down in working out in the field and whatnot, and so it was hot. But when we had to put on our full gear, it was not very comfortable because it's supposed to be tight fitting, and you've got different protective gear that you have to wear, including gas protection and things like that. And so again, very hot, very uncomfortable, but you kind of get used to it, I guess. So.
Okay, and for my third question, I want to know, like, how was the meals? Like, did y'all get to cook anytime, or y'all were just eating, like?
I'm sorry, did you say how were the meals?
Yeah, like, what did y'all eat?
Actually, it was pretty good. I learned how to cook bacon. Then a lot of people cook bacon on the stovetop, and in the military, they cook it in the oven. It's a lot easier and faster to cook a lot more bacon during that, or that way. But we ate at the dining facility most of the time. I found that the hospital actually had better food, so I would sometimes go out of my way to eat at the hospital because they had better food. The field food that we had, the food we had while we were out in the field, was awful to me. Their MREs, meals ready to eat. My dad was in the military when I was a kid, and so I liked the meals then because it was just a novelty. But when you have to eat it and that's all you have, it's not so great. But it's convenient and full of calories. So.
And I have a few more other questions. Why did you join? How was your boot camp experience?
Oh, thank you for asking that. I actually joined because I, like many of our students here, had to fund my own college. And I actually went straight to college out of high school. And I was a Pell eligible student, so I received my full Pell grant. I received scholarships, and I was working 3 jobs to get through school, and that was a lot. And also the transition to college is just difficult anyway. You know, you expand on your personal life and things that you do with your social time and things like that. And so I actually ended up dropping out of college because it ended up being hard to keep all those jobs and to pay my bills and whatnot because I was driving. I paid for my gas, my insurance, things like that. I didn't have a phone back then because we didn't have cell phones, but I still had bills. And so I ended up dropping out of college, like I said, and I joined the military so that I could get my own money for college and get some independence. So I'm actually from Michigan, and I moved away from home back in 2000, and I shortly after that got married and while I was in the military, and so I haven't been home since then. I'm still very close with my family, but I definitely gained my independence from my time in the military. So thanks for asking.
Welcome, Coach McMill. We would like to thank you for your work, for your service in the United States of America. All right, my first question is, what was your branch that you served in?
The branch that I served in was the U.S. Marine Corps.
How long did you serve in that branch?
I served 8 years.
Why did you choose to serve?
I chose to serve because I felt that I wasn't ready for college at that time. I played football, ran track, played basketball, and I just felt like at that time I wasn't ready. So I knew I needed to do some maturing and get away from Washington, D.C. That's where I grew up at. So I had to get out of the hood so I wouldn't be a statistic.
If you had a chance, would you go back?
Probably so, but I'd probably choose the Air Force.
What was your worst experience?
I didn't have really any. I didn't have any worse experiences. My worst experience was probably boot camp.
And how was boot camp for you?
Boot camp is nothing like the real world. So going to boot camp in the Marine Corps is something that you have to prepare yourself for mentally and physically, and it's no joke.
How was the gear? How did it fit good? Like how was the gear? Was you comfortable in the gear and stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah. One of the reasons that I chose the Marine Corps was the uniform. The uniform, just being able to be comfortable, and I was. So,
What were your worst and best parts about being in the Marines?
was my. I didn't have any bad moments that I can remember. The best was me being able to play sports. So I was able to play football, run track, and I got a scholarship for doing both of them. So that was one of the main reasons that I went into the Marine Corps, into the service, to get me a scholarship for those things.
And then my last question is, if you can go back and do it again, what would you change?
What would I change? I don't think I would change anything. I don't think so. No. Everything was good for me.
Were you ever in a life or death situation?
You said what? I'm sorry.
Were you ever in a life or death situation?
Was I ever in a life or death situation? When I went on Air Alert is being woke up in the middle of the night. It's part of a training. So you get woke up, you have to jump on an airplane, and they drop you wherever. So that's just part of training. Me not jumping out of an airplane before or whatever. So yeah, that was kind of threatening, I thought. And I think that's it.
What encouraged you to stay in the Army?
What encouraged me for staying in the Marine Corps? Just trying to get a scholarship, because I really wanted to prove myself to my peers and to my family. So being able to stay in there was a good thing.
How long was your training?
Training, boot camp for Marine Corps is 3 months. So you don't get to see your family. At that time, there was no cell phones. So, everything was by letter.
And my last question is, would you go to the Marines again in another lifetime?
Would I go again in another lifetime? As I said, it would be a toss-up between the Air Force and the Marine Corps, strictly because of job reasons. You can do everything in the Marine Corps and the Air Force that you can do in the world.
And the reason I joined was because when I attended high school, I went to an ROTC program. I actually went to the high school that was ROTC 24/7. So it wasn't like I had regular classes, and then on certain days we did the ROTC program. We had ROTC every single day. And the uniforms was the military naval uniform. So That gave me the drive and motivation to want to join the military branch of service, and I chose the Marine Corps.
All right, so so like, was it a long-term dream that you wanted to join?
I don't believe it was a long-term dream. It definitely, the idea was driven to me from school and from my father. So maybe my dad's long-term dream, but for me, it's like, okay, come on, let's do it, let's try it.
Yeah.
So
I understand. So what was the worst thing about it, though?
the worst thing that what?
What was the worst thing about it?
Swimming.
Swimming?
Yeah, so in the Marine Corps, you if you don't know how to swim, it could be your fate. They're very aggressive in teaching you how to swim in the Marine Corps. So your very first obstacle that you are brought up against is you have to climb a 120-foot tower,
Man,
and you go all the way up, and then you have to cross your arms and you just jump. And you jump into a pool that's about 25, 30 feet deep, and you got to swim. You know, you got to get back up to the top. So for those beginners who've never swum before in their life, of course they had remedial pools off to the side. But I mean, it was only maybe about 2 or 3 days that they allowed you to learn how to tread water and get the basic fundamentals of swimming down.
yeah, that's crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. But what's the best thing about it, though? Like, the best thing about the military?
The best thing to me about the Marine Corps was traveling all over the world, going to the foreign countries, and basically just learning your way of survival, learning how to fight, just learning how to be prepared. We went by a motto of hurry up and wait. So we needed to be on a plane to go to Iran at 0800 hours. We were already there, prepared, ready, packed, and waiting at 0300 hours.
Yeah.
So, but it was good times there. If I could do it over again, I would have stayed there for a life term. Would have been like 20 years and out. But I don't know, joining the Marine Corps coming from high school, I don't know, at times I kind of felt like I was missing out on things that was going on at home, when really in actuality there was nothing going on at home.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get away from here, St. Louis wise, if you want to do something with yourself and be about something.
Understand. So what was I going to ask? What was the most favorite? My fault. What was your favorite country you've been to, like, through traveling?
Oh, Okinawa, Japan. Okinawa and Iwakuni, Japan. Sir?
How long have you served us for?
4 years and out.
That's good. So last question, like, what advice do you have for upcoming students that want to join the military or anything?
Well, so nowadays, I don't press the military on anyone. I will tell you that there are huge advantages to joining the military. I feel like it can help your maturity level tremendously.
I see that.
It definitely can help you grow and mature as a man and a woman. If you want to see the world free of charge, the military is the way to go. But keep in mind, you have a job to do.
Yeah.
And that job is to protect the soil of the United States of America. And it's not a job that you should play with or take lightly. This day and time, with the new command staff that we have coming into the White House, those in the military will be held to higher standards. You have to understand that each branch serves a purpose in the military. The Marine Corps, number one, being the 911 service for the White House and the President, who is the Commander-in-Chief. You have the Army, the Navy. You would have a new military unit out now called SpaceX, I believe, and this is a military unit that is handling the business elsewhere. So, the opportunity is there for you to get free education. The opportunity is there for you to get housing, and to just become financially set and successful within whatever it is that you choose to do. So the military has multiple jobs that you can choose from. If you can do it out here in the civilian world, you can do it in the military world, and then some. So there's a lot of advantages and perks to this. However, take your time and see what best fits you. Because once you sign that contract, you definitely want to fulfill it.
Was joining the Marines different than you expected it to be?
Absolutely 100%. Completely different. It's nothing like any other branch of service. And I'm telling you, and no recruiter will lie to you about it, the Marine Corps, in my eyes, is the best. They do not play with you in boot camp. If you graduate the United States Marine Corps boot camp, you are definitely ready. If you graduate. If they feel that you're not ready or that the Marine Corps is not for you, you will not graduate. You'll be sent back home.